the books that I wish that I could reread for the first time that specifically are perfect for springtime. Welcome back to my channel. Today it is officially spring. It's been spring for a couple weeks, and I haven't done this video yet, even though I've been really wanting to and meaning to. But I just want to sit down and talk about all of my favorite book recommendations for springtime. They are specifically all romance. But I just feel like this is the perfect time for a very specific type of romance. Typically the more lighthearted, flowery, springy little romance books, and I feel like I have a lot of them. There are some romance books that I feel like I don't know, they just hit different in different seasons, and there are lots for summer, and there are a lot for fall, and there are a ton for Christmas. But I just feel like spring is one of those time of year where like people don't particularly write just about springtime. Not always, although I will say I think that we're getting more of those. I still think it's a lot less common. So here's just my general list of books that I love for the springtime. Some of them because they take place in spring, and some of them just because they just give like the happy, cheery vibe that spring gives. So I'm going to start with one that I actually have on my shelf. Most of these I don't have, and that is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. First of all, I think that first and foremost, cover is giving the perfect spring vibe. I just feel like this is beautiful cover art. I absolutely love this. And I actually really enjoyed this book. This was Cara Bastone's like first debut novel, and I think she did a really, really great job. Obviously it was on Book of the Month, and I got it from there. This was February of 2024 is when this book came out. And it was a great read that had some heavy topics. So this is an accidental pregnancy trope, where she doesn't really know if she wants to have the father in the baby's life or what she's going to do with that. And so she's got a lot of really heavy things to think about, and it's like it definitely has good plot, and it definitely has some serious topics and some really good things, but at the same time it was also really light and cheery and happy. And basically her best friend and her best friend's brother really step up to help her through this really, really difficult time in her life. And I just really enjoyed this book. I thought it was very sweet. And yeah, I just think it's like one of the perfect books to read during the spring. Then moving on from Ready or Not, I'm going to stay with the same author, and that is Cara Bastone's newest book, which is called Promise Me Sunshine. And this is one, I'm just going to pop pictures up over here for each book, but this is one that I personally felt like it was another, first of all, the cover is beautiful. I love her cover art for both of her books. And this one also dealt with pretty heavy topics. This time it was grief, and learning to grieve over a really, really heavy and hard loss, but also learning how to live your life and actually be happy and not feel guilty that you're happy even though that person isn't in your life anymore. And I felt like it hit some really hard and heavy topics, but in the best way, and we got to watch her actually be happy and start to move on and deal with this grief and just have like this full circle moment where she's like, I never thought that I would be able to be happy like this again. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought this was a very enjoyable book. I think this author hit the nail on the head again and did a really great job. Crazy enough, I think that I liked this one better than the first one. So, and it might just be because it's more like fresh in my brain, and I read it more late. I read it, what is the word I'm trying to think? What am I trying to say right now? I read it like now. Guys, I'm losing my mind. Okay, anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm just gonna move on. So then the next book I think is one that nobody will be particularly surprised about based on the title, the cover, and my previous recommendations. And that is The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Laurie Gilmore. This is the 4th book in the Dream Harbor series, and it is not done. She is continuing to write books in this series. And I think that this book was really fun. It just came out in February, I believe. And I was lucky enough to get sent a copy of this book from NetGalley. So I got this early and wanted to read and review it before it came out, and that was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to read that book in the time that I need to read it in. And this time I was, and it was really, really enjoyable and really fun. For me, this is probably my favorite book in the Dream Harbor series so far, but that's not saying much because I didn't absolutely love the first few. But I really did enjoy this one. And so this one is about a new dad, and you would think by new dad, you would think like he just had a baby, but unfortunately that is not the situation that we're dealing with here. This is a situation where this little girl, her mom passed away, and in her mom's like will and stuff, it basically said who the father of the girl was and that he didn't know that he had a daughter and that she had kept it from him for like 6 years. His daughter was like 5 or 6 years old, and that they should contact him in the case of an emergency if anything ever happened to her. So they do. So he's just this guy one day that just all of a sudden finds out that this girl he had a one-night stand with 5 years ago ended up getting pregnant and having a baby and never telling him. So he's new to fatherhood with a 5-year-old, and it is a very, very tough adjustment. And so he hires a nanny to help him watch his daughter and take her to school and stuff while he's working, and also just help him get adjusted and get them adjusted to each other, because the daughter's having a hard time warming up to him. He's having a hard time warming up to her. So he hires a live-in nanny to help him with that. I thought this was really fun. It was enjoyable. It was very springy / summery. It kind of gave the vibe of both. You know, going to like fairs and markets and like farmers markets and stuff like that, and it just gave a really fun springy vibe. He's also a chef, and so he is like the newest chef at the local diner, and he's trying to like change up menu items, and like the whole town is getting really mad at him and they don't want him to change the pancake recipe, and it's just really funny and lighthearted, but also obviously not super lighthearted because you know, it's about this little girl grieving her mom and learning to live with this new family. And so, again, I must really love books that have some deeper topics and deeper meanings. I don't love just total fluff books. And none of these so far were that type of book. They were all really enjoyable, and they had really great, like, springtime vibes, but they also were deep and had really good topics and meanings. So the next one I do have, and that is Check and Mate by Allie Hazelwood. So this is one that doesn't particularly take place in spring. And I just really want to say that before I even dive into what this book is about at all, because I don't want anybody to go into it thinking that this book is going to be like the most spring themed book that there is, because it's not. But I just feel like this story and this book itself is the perfect book to pick up during the springtime. I would probably say spring or summer is like when I would want to pick this up, because it's like this light, fun. This was Allie Hazelwood's debut novel into young adult romance, and I think I think this book is slept on, and I think that it's her best book so far. Please don't come at me for saying that, but I really think that it is. Personally, that's my own personal opinion. I loved this book. For me, I think that her adult romance is just getting a little bit too heavy on the spice and not enough plot for my liking. And I feel like because this was young adult, there was no spice, and it was all plot plus these two teenagers falling in love with each other during chess games. So they are like world-class chess players competing in a very serious chess tournament. And I just thought this was really, really fun. I really enjoyed this book. Also, again, there's some heavy topics or some deeper things that go on in this book that give it more depth, and you understand that, you know, that our main character is basically helping her mom provide for her family, her and her sisters. And so she doesn't have the ability to just up and leave for this really, really important chess competition, even though it's her passion and it's what she wants to do. And she's really, really good at it. Like, she's one of the best chess players in the world. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought this was really fun. Again, it does not take place during spring, but I think it's a good one to read during spring. And especially if you like Allie Hazelwood's books, but you wish they were just a little less steamy, this one is the perfect book for you. If you love Allie Hazelwood's adult books and you love how steamy they are and you don't want less, then don't pick this up. I don't know what to tell you. Moving on, the next one is another one that I don't have the physical copy to, which is actually sad because this is one of my favorite romance books of all time. And that is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. The whole When in Rome series in general, I would say, is all good. They don't particularly take place during a specific season. So I would say they could all be read during the spring, and they are perfect books to be read during the spring. But I'm specifically calling out Practice Makes Perfect because look at this cover. It is gorgeous. Our main character owns a flower shop, and so it is just the most springy vibes you can get out of a book that doesn't necessarily take place during spring. I feel like I actually don't even remember what time of year that this book actually does take place. It could be summer, it could be spring, it could even be fall. I don't know. It could be a whole range. It could be the whole year. I really do not remember. But all I remember is that the vibe of the book is perfect for spring. The atmosphere that I'm remembering and that I really loved about this book is perfect for a springtime atmosphere. Especially if you're just finding yourself longing for summer a little bit. This is just a book to help you just enjoy the spring while it's here. It doesn't last very long. So yeah, this is a really good one. This one is the second in a series. Now, they can technically be read out of order because they're all different characters. They all take place, the main character is a different character in each book. So technically you can read them in whatever order you want, but they do happen as they were published is the chronological order of them as well. So that's the timeline order. When in Rome is the first book, then Practice Makes Perfect, and then Beg, Borrow, or Steal is her newest book released, and the third book in the When in Rome series. Like I said, you can't go wrong with any of them. This is one of my favorite romance series I've ever read. So I definitely would say read all three of them if you want. But I will say Beg, Borrow, or Steal gave summer vibes through the whole thing, even though I can't remember when that one took place either, but I feel like that third one is the one to read during summer. The first two, both springtime reads pretty much. So then moving on, this next one is, it technically, I just want to say this again doesn't take place during spring. This book takes place during Valentine's Day, but for some reason, Valentine's Day feels like like when reading this book feels like it should be a springy book. And I don't know if it's because like the vibes or what, but that is The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. This book, like I said, takes place during Valentine's Day, and this is a Groundhog Day trope. So this book is a book where this girl is stuck living her life in a loop, playing the same day over and over and over until she can figure out how to break the loop. She doesn't know why it's happening or what she needs to learn to break it, but she tries. She lives this day over and over and tries every single day to change the day somehow to end up waking up on February 3rd or 15th. I almost said 13th. We went back in time. So this book was really, really enjoyable. This is one of my favorite Lynn Painter books. And I just feel like this is a really fun one to read during spring, even though I know Valentine's Day is in February, which is not spring. It's technically winter, but it just feels like this should be during spring, not during winter. This does not give snowy winter vibes. This gives like early spring vibes, really fun Valentine's Day. I don't know. I just really liked it, and I think that this is a really fun one to read during spring, so don't come at me for this taking place on Valentine's Day. Next is one that I actually don't recommend often, and not on purpose. When I remembered about this book, I was like, this is the perfect spring book, but I don't know why. I never recommend it, and that is The Vows by Jessica Joyce. I actually did not write down the author's name, so I really hope that that's the correct name. But so The Vows is a book about two friends that were part of a like 3-friend group trio, one girl and 2 guys, and the girl, the main character girl, was dating one of the guys, and they broke up, and they haven't what? They haven't spoken to each other since they broke up, and now they are the best man and the maid of honor of the 3rd friend's wedding. And so they are forced together, so this is a forced proximity romance. They are forced to work together to basically help put on this wedding. And literally everything you can imagine is going wrong during this wedding. And so they're just trying to like fix it and put together all the broken pieces and make this the perfect day for their mutual friend. Now the reason that I say this is like the perfect book for the spring, and I think it could be spring or summer, this just from like April to July, I feel like is like the perfect time to read this book in general. And that's because it takes place in like vineyards, and the atmosphere of this book again gives spring leading into summer. Like it just feels like May, if that makes any sense at all. And I feel like this is that's like such a weird description of something, but it does. It feels like it's like May time. It's like just the end of spring, just going into the beginning of summer. And I really enjoyed the atmosphere of this book. I thought it was very fun and cozy. Very, very enjoyable. I also liked the romance. I feel like this wasn't like one of my all-time favorite romance books, but it was like a 3-star. So it was definitely enjoyable. I still recommend it. But if I'm just recommending like any romance book, period, it doesn't usually make the list. But I feel like for this video, it's kind of perfect. It's just this is the time to read it if you're going to read it. Now the last book on my list, I saved the best for last, and that is the Part of Your World series by Abby Jimenez. Now, I say series, and really I feel like book 1 and 2 are the ones that you should read in the spring, and then read book 3 in the summer. So this is book 1 is Part of Your World, book 2 is Yours Truly, and book 3 is just for the summer. I think if you haven't read any of these books yet and you want to jump into this series, now is the time to do it, especially because ending the series with Just for the Summer in the summertime would be so perfect. Again, this is a series where you technically could read the books out of order, but please don't. Please don't. If you have the opportunity and you're watching this right now and you've never read any of the 3 books, just take my hand and let me lead you through the Part of Your World series and tell you to please read this one first. Let me just say, without any sort of spoiler at all, why you should read these in order is because for maximum shock factor, when you get to the last book, because they bring up a couple people from previous series just as side characters, but when they like name them and you know who they are and you're like, oh, what? That is so-and-so from the other book. It's very shocking, and it gives you a whole new perspective to a lot of things. I feel like it gives you a whole new perspective to seeing some characters in a different light. Maybe, I don't know, just that growth can happen. People can grow and become better humans and better people. Because let's just say they might be people that we don't really like in the beginning of the series. So, do you have to read them in order? No, by no means do you have to read them in order. You could 100% pick up Just for the Summer right now and really, really enjoy it. But would it be better for you to read them in order? Yes. Yes, it would. So, that's why I'm saying that you should pick up. Plus, just look at how cute this little cover is. It's not Just for the Summer, but this is adorable. So I would say start with Part of Your World, then jump into Yours Truly, and then by the summertime, mid-June, mid-July, you will be ready to read Just for the Summer, and you will have read them in the perfect timing. So that's actually that. That is it. Those are all of my springtime book recommendations. Let me know all of your guys' favorite books to read during spring, because I've read all my favorite spring books and I have no books to read during springtime. So please, please give me all of your favorite book recommendations for spring, and I will see you guys in the next video.